At its October town board meeting, Scriba officials adopted a law in support of zoning. Local Law Number 4 of 2025 was adopted to stop certain types of land use until the town board can adopt zoning in the town of Scriba. The law was unanimously passed by all town board members without even a copy of the law being made available to the public. A quick Google search reveals that in order to adopt a local law, the town must first make the proposed law available to the public by filing it with the town clerk, and then hold a public hearing after notice is given. In this case, the town failed to provide a copy of the proposed law to the town clerk until after the public hearing and the adoption of the law was over. This prevented public access to this law until after the vote. The public hearing was held and a unanimous vote to adopt the local law immediately followed. But what did they vote on? No one read the law being passed at the hearing. No board member held up a copy of it at the meeting. None of them seemed to know what specifically was contained in the law. This was evidenced by several town people asking questions of what was in the law and expressed concerns as to whether it would affect things like farming. The town attorney responded by saying it had nothing to do with farming, but failed to offer information as to what the local law did contain. A public notice was briefly posted on the town's webpage that said a copy of the proposed law was available at the town clerk's office. Citizens Against Zoning asked for a copy of this proposed law from the town clerk the day before and the day after the public hearing was held. The town clerk reported that she had not been provided with the law as required. Only after a Freedom of Information request was submitted did a copy of the proposed law become available. This was 5 days after the law had been approved by the board. Let's take a look at the law and what it says. Section 2, Paragraph 2, reads, in 2025, the town of Scriba created a zoning review commission to study whether a comprehensive land use law, zoning law, regulating the location, design, construction, alteration, occupancy, and use of structures. Should I read on? I don't know what you think, but we believe this sounds like a local law in favor of adopting zoning. But maybe there's more to it. Goal number 3 of this law states, the adoption of zoning is a regulatory necessity for the town of Scriba. Yes, it says it's a regulatory necessity to adopt zoning. This law is absolutely intended to support the advancement of zoning in the town of Scriba. For those of you who have been following this site, you will remember the town of Lumberland camping law. It is a very strict law the town of Scriba is using as a basis for Scriba's proposed laws. It requires permits and fines for camping on your own property. The town stated publicly that they were not trying to regulate people's personal use of their land for camping, and that anyone saying otherwise was fake news. But as of October 15th, 2025, that is exactly what they have done. Local Law Number 4 doesn't just discuss the future adoption of zoning, it makes it illegal for anyone to have more than one RV camper on their property. Prior to this law, the New York State campground law restricted residents to no more than 4 RVs on a single property and required a campground permit from the state and county for more. Less than this was allowable as personal use with no permits or fees required. It is now illegal in the town of Scriba to have more RV on your property based on this new law. That seems like a significant change with no discussion about it from any landowners. So what's the penalty if you have 2 campers on your property now that Local Law Number 4 is enacted? In the law, it states $500 per day for each day that the condition exists. This is the teeth to this new law. Town board members deny that they intended to do this, but here it is in black and white. It's now available at the town clerk's office for review. How will this get enforced? At the October 16th budget meeting, the town presented its 2026 proposed budget. It includes many raises and one curious increase to code enforcement. They are changing the position from part-time to full-time with full benefits. So you can expect more enforcement of this law and others starting with the 2026 budget year. I wonder if they plan to finance that increase through fines, or if they will just raise taxes. Either way, they are planning more regulation for the town of Scriba residents. What can be done? Well, voting is your biggest tool, but unfortunately all of the current board members support zoning, and nearly no one is running against them. Short of someone stepping forward to run as a write-in vote, we will surely have this board for at least another year. How much damage can they do in that time? The only board member candidate that has spoke out publicly against zoning is Cherise Wills. Everyone must get out and vote for Cherise, so we have someone on the inside that can share what is happening. Who else will run for these positions? We can take control of this through a write-in ballot. Who is willing to stand up against this and run for town board member or even town supervisor in this coming election? Write-ins have won in the past. It can be done. It must be done. If you are willing to stand up and make a difference by running for office, message this site, Scriba Citizens Opposed to Zoning, and we will help get your message out. If you can't run, make sure to get out and vote. Pause this video. Email your board members. Tell them how you feel about this. Early voting starts Saturday. Show up to support Cherise Wills.